All right, my friends, I am really excited for today's episode to talk about the easiest way that you can earn an extra $3,000 a month as a therapist. Because right now, our economy is pretty unstable. The therapy field is even unstable, right? There are funding cuts happening in nonprofits and community mental health spaces. Insurance is doing clawbacks. Companies are doing layoffs. There's the rise of the cost of living, all of it, right? And honestly, this like time of turmoil in our world reminds me of when I started my own private practice during COVID, because that was like a big motivator for me to have job security, to have income security, to have savings, all of it during a financially tough time. And so I want to talk about today how we can earn an extra $3,000 a month. I know that might feel far fetched to you, but I promise that we're going to break it down in today's episode and you're going to see how easy this actually can be. And 3K a month is pretty substantial, right? It's not just extra spending money for most people, although if it's extra spending money for you, that is amazing. And I'm so happy for you. But for most people, it's breathing room, right? It's the ability to not worry about finances. It's the ability to pay off your debt. It's the ability to afford childcare or savings or your mortgage payment, right? For many, many, many therapists, an extra $3,000 a month is the difference between feeling stuck and actually having financial control. And so to be able to do that with a few shifts, to be able to do that with just a few hours of work a week, I think is huge and a really, really, really great opportunity for many, many therapists moving into private practice or shifting how they do things in their private practice. Right. So for me, I started off at a group practice. I was working a full time job in nonprofit management, and I started at a group practice in the evening, seeing clients a few times a week with insurance. And what I think this experience really did for me was I was able to see that running my own business was a lot less scary than I imagined. And I was able to really just like even start to consider that as a possibility. I had initially wanted to start a private practice years and years ago, but the fear of not knowing where to start, the fear of like not being a business owner really kept me stuck. I thought that that was something for the lucky few. And I think I made it out to be a lot more like complicated in my head than it actually was. Um, and I thought that it was like not secure, right? Like I thought like that would be something that would like ebb and flow a ton and you would have to like really be an amazing business owner in order to stick with that. And in reality, what I've seen is that there's not a lot of like high paying job options for social workers out there. And actually, the best high paying job option is the one that you create yourself, right? Because it's the only path where you're able to control your rates, control your schedule, control the amount of clients you see, control what types of clients you see. And so I think that that was just like such a huge shift for me to really see that. And what was really cool about working in the group practice is that I was able to do it on the side while I was, working at my full time job. And after being there for a few months, I started to really think about like, why am I giving this group practice owner half of my income? I was making $45 per session at the time. We were an insurance based group practice, when I could just kind of make my own business and at least start seeing them on my own. And so that was like the first step that I took. I switched from his group practice to my own insurance based practice. And I found like a new platform, Alma, actually, to get credentialed on insurance on. And I started to see clients at 125 per session. And that was amazing. Um, but whether or not you're trying to do insurance or private pay, I'd probably recommend private pay. And we'll talk about that for the majority of this episode. You can really have a substantial difference on your income with just a few clients a week. You do not have to go all in. You do not have to lose the security and the safety net of your full time job. You can set aside one night a week if you're doing private pay or two nights a week if you're doing insurance. And that can be enough for you to make an extra $3,000 a month. So you can do this as an experiment. You can try it. You can dip your toes in. You do not have to do a full overhaul and see where it takes you, right? You might be surprised. You might feel really safe. No one can lay you off from your own business, right? You are able to market yourself. You are able to fill those spots. Even if a client leaves and you know how to market yourself, you can get another one, right? It's amazing. So let's talk about it. Let's say that you charge $250 per session, private pay. All that you need in order to make an extra $3,000 per month is 3 weekly clients. right? If you set aside one Tuesday night per week and you see a client at 5 p.m., at 6 p.m., and at 7 p.m. for $250 per session, you will have an extra $3,000 per month. Once I did that math, I realized like how easy and sustainable it can be to have a thriving private practice, right? Is $3,000 a month enough to pay all of your bills? Probably not. But is that an amazing, amazing, amazing starting point for one night a week for 3 hours of work a week? Absolutely. Now, I think where things can feel a little bit tricky is like, okay, amazing. That's super doable. I definitely have the time to see 3 clients per week, especially virtually. But how am I actually going to get these clients? And I think that that is where Instagram is like comes in. Instagram is the best and fastest way to fill these 3 private pay spots. And when you learn to master Instagram, you are really going to create so much job security for yourself. Like I said, if one client leaves, you know how to market yourself, you know how to put your intro call scheduler out there, and you know how to easily get another client. For me, Instagram has been like so grounding as I've done a bunch of other things in my business, right? I've seen insurance based clients, I've seen private pay therapy clients, I had an anxiety course, I launched my course Private Practice Academy for Therapists, I've done my Reels membership, I've done one on one coaching, mastermind, group coaching, brand deals. And no matter what it is, I know that I have the skills to be able to market myself. I have the skills to be able to adapt. I have the skills to be able to sell. And so, you know, I am confident that if courses disappear tomorrow or memberships disappear tomorrow, or even with like my maternity leave, I decided I didn't want to do any one on one work for a while. I'm able to sell other things because I have an Instagram community, because I have an audience, because I have those marketing skills. So I just think that it's like the best long term investment that you can make in your business learning Instagram. So, anyways, back to Instagram here. You do not need a huge audience to get 3 clients, right? You can do this with a few hundred followers. And what it really takes is one, niching down, right? So picking who are we going to speak to in your content. 2, marketing yourself and showing up consistently, right? So I would aim for 4 to 7 times per week, I think is a really good starting point. And then 3, I would also like really try and network on Instagram with other therapists in your area who are private pay. I think that can be a wonderful referral source. And then, you know, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it. If we want to speed things up further, we could try things like ads. We could get really good at selling on stories, all the stuff that I teach inside a Private Practice Academy bundle. But for now, I would really encourage you to start small and set your goal of 3 clients per week, right? If you need to get support for how to do that on Instagram, I'm happy to help support you with that. If you want to, you know, try and DIY it, listen to the podcast. I have so many episodes on that. But really, my goal with this episode today is to show you how few clients you actually need to make a substantial difference on your income. And that you can do this, right, without burning out, without adding an extra clinical certification, without waiting years and years and years, right? You can do this with a few simple shifts. And I also just want to share like what this tipping point was for me in my journey. So in So I was earning an extra $3,000 a month while I was working even at the group practice, and seeing clients on my own on the side with insurance. And it was okay. Like that extra $3,000 a month was amazing. It gave me a lot of security. It gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of freedom, savings to quit my full-time job, all the things. But it took a lot of clients because I was getting paid between $45 a session at the group practice and $125 a session on my own seeing insurance clients. And I just knew like that wasn't going to, I wasn't going to be able to quit my job at that level, because for me, I was earning 6 figures in nonprofit management when I was trying to leave my nonprofit job. And so I really wanted to replace that income in order to go full time. And so I knew there was no way, like I'd have to see so many clients at 125 a session while working full time in order to get that 10K a month, which was my goal. And so I ended up deciding I was going to start marketing myself on Instagram and trying to get a few private pay clients so that way I could have a balance between insurance and private pay and really get my income to a place where I felt like I could quit my job and go full time in my practice. So I started my Instagram page in October 2020. And by January 2021, 3 months later, I had enough clients to be able to give notice at my job. I quit in February. Um, and I was making $3,000 extra a month just from private pay clients by January 2021. Right. So it took a few months. It took, 3 months of me posting every day. But in those 3 months, I was able to get 3 new private pay clients from Instagram paying me $250 per session. And that extra $3,000 a month gave me the confidence, it gave me the financial security, and it even gave me like the proof of concept that, I can do this. I can get clients from Instagram. I can continue. If I keep doing this, where am I going to be in 6 months or a year? And, spoiler alert, I ended up earning $250,000 that year. Like the growth was incredible. But it only took 3 months for me to start from 0 followers to get into the point where I had 3 new private pay clients. And so it might not happen overnight. It might take a few weeks or a few months. I certainly think that if you join my programs, you will see now that you have a lot more support and can probably do this a lot faster than I did, as I was 100% just winging it at the beginning. But you can do this, right? And 3 months to get 3 private pay clients and have a very steady income stream of $3,000 extra a month is so worth it. So, what I hope that you take away from this episode is like how much closer your goals can be than you might think. And that really, I think the biggest thing getting in the way of therapists, like earning a little bit of extra money, is deciding that they're going to do it, right? Deciding, okay, I'm going to do, spend a day or two doing the logistical work of setting up my business. I'm going to risk looking a little silly on the internet and I'm going to start marketing myself and putting myself out there. I'm going to decide I am worthy of charging $250 a session because that is aligned with the income goals and the work life balance I want to have. And when you can get out of your own way, when you can do that, earning an extra $3,000 a month is super, super, super realistic by like March of next year, right? If you take action today, if you decide today that you are going to do this, that you are going to start showing up on Instagram, that you are going to market yourself and put intentional effort in and try and get 3 new private pay clients, I am super confident you could do that by like March, right? Your life could be so different by March 2026. And I hope that you make that decision for yourself and stop delaying and move forward and really create that financial safety and security, because I know at the end of the day that $3,000 a month is really just the beginning. The sky is fully the limit, and I am cheering you on as you work your way towards a 6-figure practice and beyond.